morning, happy hump day. I always keep to make videos on Wednesdays. So CV axles are here for the Passat, so that's what we're gonna do today. So let me change, get in the car, get in the garage, set up the quick jacks, get the Passat up in the air, and we're gonna change the CV axle. The passenger CV axle is broken, but it was cheaper just to buy the pair. So I bought the pair and we're gonna change them out. All right, Porsche's outside, Passat is inside. First, we're gonna break the axle free. Little tip here, to get these off, you don't have to pull the wheel off. If you take a little knife with a very thin blade, you can get between this edge and pop it off. Just take the tip of a really thin knife, find an edge and get it in between there and start working a little bit. Oh, see, I had it out. And if it stays, then you can just keep using that. If it doesn't stay, get something else. And it pops off. Yep, it's exactly the same on the front. So let's break the torque loose first. All right, so full disclosure, I had already cheated. I did break the torque loose off camera. I just wanted to be sure I could do it before I recorded it. And then I showed you on the camera. But I mean, that's exactly what I did to break it loose. That exact same wrench, that exact same socket. It's a 24 millimeter, not triple square, what the hell is that? 12 point. Jeez, I could not even think about it. 24 millimeter 12 point to get it off. The new axles come with a 1-inch nut. I measured it, it's 27 point something millimeters. No, you're not supposed to reuse these bolts, but I think I'm gonna have to, because I don't have the socket for that other one. I think it'll be fine, I hope. So now that I've broken them loose, now we'll get the car in the air, take the wheels off, just I didn't buy the OEM Volkswagen assembly, because a CV axle is a pretty dumb mechanical part that should work. This car is not pushing like extra horsepower or anything. This is completely stock, so these should be just fine. All right, so let me get it in the air, and we'll get it in the air, get the wheels off, get to the CV axles. So we got the car on the quick jacks, the highest setting. We're gonna go under here and with my headlamp, and I'm gonna show you what is broken. It's been broken for a while, but I was told a year ago that my CV boot was broken, and I was like, yeah, whatever, you know. This is the car that you just drive, put gas in it, change oil, and just keep driving, and it keeps working. So I ignored it until recently. Now it's actually slinging grease. So the boot tore enough over the course of the year. We haven't driven it that much. It's barely been driven over the year. We drive it to like the grocery store, to run an errand. Now it's slinging grease, so we definitely have to change it. And I'm kind of getting to a point where I need to make this car as good as the Porsche. It's gonna take a lot more work. There's a lot of more things on it, a bunch of little things, but neglected maintenance that we need to take care of. So this is gonna be the first step in that, is to change these CV axles. Now, let me show you what I did buy. So I bought these off of Amazon. They are TRQ is the brand. And I referenced the part number, the OEM part number. And these are the same ones as, part number wise, they're the same as the OEM. They look the same. They look identical. I won't know until I get the other one out. But that's why I bought this, because this is rebuildable, but I didn't want to deal with it. The other thing I like about these Volkswagens is you just got to pop this out. There's no hardware holding this in. This just pops in place. The only thing holding it in is just like the Porsche, is right here. The front differential on the Porsche CV axle is the same way. There's just a little circlip right there on that shaft. That's the only thing that holds it into that front differential. Otherwise, it just pops right out. So I have two different tools I'm gonna try to use. I didn't actually buy the poppers. I was going to. They actually sell specific axle poppers, but I have two tools that will probably do the exact same thing, and I'm gonna try one of those. Let's get on the car and show you what we got. This is the passenger side on a North American car. And as you see, there's no bolts holding it, so you just gotta pop it out. And it's pretty easy, it looks like. I was trying to remember how to get this loose. And from what I remember is you pop up your tie rod end, pop off your ball joint bolts here, and that will release this whole hub so you can move it out and just pop that out of the way. This is not broken, but see the grease there? That is definitely broken. Try not to get shit in my face. And you can see a hole right there. I moved it the other day, and I could see it clearly. I don't want to get grease all over my glove just yet. So let's start taking this apart. Down here, we got to take off these 3 nuts and a tie rod end. I have a tie rod end popper, so this should be easy. All right, so these lower ones, they're 16 millimeters. So get that better angle on there. There we go. See if I can get these to break loose. 1, 2, und 3. That's 3. 3. Let's get this one loose. There we go. Got it loose. All right. All right, now let's pop her loose. If you're gonna, since I'm not gonna replace this, you gotta be careful not to break the boot. Just wiggle it in there, nice. Well, look at that. Didn't even need to pop it. How convenient was that? That's a first for me. Probably because I used the impact. All right, so that's loose, that's loose. Now, bam, that's out. We can just rotate this. Oh, I gotta pop this down, that's right. Let me get my pry bar. I think I need to loosen the control arm right up here so it'll come down, so then these can come out. There we go. Oh yeah. Loosen her up. All right, that's loose. All right, I got them all torque broken loose. Let's zip these out. I do know I need to replace this lower control arm, so this might be good practice for, this might be a really good practice for replacing this control arm. Oh boy. All that damn sand and dirt and grime that came out of there. Holy. There we go. Bam. Got it. Alrighty. Now, we just got to pop out the CV axle because this side of it is free. Is it out? It is. It's out. Just got to pop out the inner side. Next, we got to pop this out. So, first thing I'm going to try is just get the pry bar in there between the case here and the back of the CV. Now, this thing is pretty heavy. I picked up the other one, and it's heavy and it's over my head. So, hopefully, it does not punch me in the face, because that would suck. Come on. All right, you guys will get a kick out of this. So I reinstalled the outer end to see if I could pull it, and the only thing I did was break it, break it more. Look at this. It's just it's completely out now. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. How the hell were we driving on this? Oh, the things I do for YouTube. So I popped it out, and then guess what I did? I put it back in just so you could see me pop it out again. Yes, sometimes we do stupid shit for YouTube. So I was trying to just use a pry bar here, right? and it moves a little, but doesn't pop out. I don't know if you guys can see it moving. No matter how I got it in there, was doing nothing, right? So I read a couple forums, a couple different things, and basically the way the axle poppers work is it applies even pressure on two sides at the same time so the axle can pop straight out. And that's so that it doesn't pop out while you're driving. Well, I happen to have this tuning fork I've had for a long time, and I've never actually used it to break ball joints. I've just used it for stuff like this. So I'm gonna try this again, see if I can get it back in there how I had it, and it worked perfectly. Okay, let's see. I think this thing turned on me. It's all good. That'll work. I can get a couple whacks in it. Did you see that? See how it popped? My arm's probably in the way. So the point is the tuning fork can apply even pressure on the axle and it pops it right out. So now I actually put it back in on the outside, pull that back out. That is broken for sure. Holy shit. All right, one axle out. That actually went smoother and easier than I thought. Let's look at this broken axle before we install the new one. Well, I would definitely say that's broken. Good thing is there is still grease in there. And it doesn't look like there's too much grime or sand. You know why I'm laughing? You see that right there? This has been broken a lot longer than I remembered. I fixed this one time. It had a tiny little tear in the boot, and I used aviation grade sealant that's flexible. Well, that shit worked for years. I forgot I did that. But it is now officially kaput, as the Germans would say. Let's go get our new axle, and let's make sure they are the same size. I think they are. They look the same, but we'll see. Here's our new axle, and it looks like it's shorter, but I don't think it's shorter. It's the difference is this amount of space that's broken. It's ripped off. There we go. Yeah, same size. Looks exactly the same. Ooh, I will say this is beefier than this. This is substantially beefier than this one. Ooh, I did not realize that. That's hollow. Hear that? Solid. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna make a difference because this is just a big old hollow tube. I wonder why they made it a hollow tube. Well, this has been in the car since 2008 or 9. This is 2009, but who knows when they assembled this car. That's how long it's been in there. Let's unwrap this and let's get it in. Here's a better view of it with the plastic off. One for one, they're the exact same length. These look identical, spines look identical. Collars, this one's rubber, this one's metal. But they look the same. The only difference is that this is a hollow tube and this is a solid tube. So before I reinstall this, since I have it out already, I'm gonna clean up this whole area, clean the grease off of that. You see I put a little anti-seize copper on there, not a lot, just a little bit. Now we wanna push this circlip up a little. There you go, just kind of hold it up there, get it started. There we go. And it'll lock in place. Maybe. Nope. Nope. Pull it back out. Oh, come on. Get in there. All right, I finally got it. So what I did was I got the CV axle on both sides. And then as I'm turning the brake disc, I was also pulling the AC in and out like this, because I have the ball joints connected, using the suspension and the brake disc kind of like my little hammer, and bam, it's in, it's locked in place. I made sure that the spline was engaged first, so nothing's broken, nothing's damaged. And I could see that the driver's side axle is turning at the same time, like it's supposed to. It's going opposite of this one. So that's good. Now let's put everything back together. All right, let's reinstall everything in reverse order. So let's put the ball joints in first. There we go. That's on. This was actually really easy to change, so those are gonna be on the list of things to do. Come back to that. All right, I'll come back to that. That was easy. Oh, well, this one goes here. I'll wait. Okay. So that's cleaned out. Grab the axle from the backside, make sure it's all the way seated. So you can see one axle completely done. The only thing left is to torque these right here, torque this axle nut right here, and the tie rod head. And we're done. I will look up what the torque is. I'm not sure what it is right now, but it should be pretty easy, pretty straightforward. All right, so I looked online and I found a lot of different information about what the torque spec is for everything. So I'm not gonna mislead you guys. I don't want to give you the wrong information. So I'm gonna torque these. I'm not even gonna tell you the number I'm gonna torque these. I'm gonna torque them to what I think is the right spec, and you guys can go from there. You can tell me if I'm wrong, and actually if you know what the torque spec is for all these three things. Well, 1, 2, 3 subframe, and the swivel back here. Oh, where am I at? Back here. But we're gonna do these together. So let's do this one first. Let's put some pressure on the top. That's good. It's a little, I went torque plus a little bit more. I torqued it similar to the 911. This is 53. I used a similar torque on that, and I went a little bit further just to make sure it's locked in place. All right, these, it says the torque for these is very light. So I'm just gonna do these by hand. I'm not even gonna put a torque wrench on. All right, those are tight. So let's start with this one. That's torque. All right, I've got a jack lifting the suspension, and I'm gonna try to tighten this bolt up. Oh man, almost. There we go. All righty. Only one thing left to torque, and that's the bolt in there. It is supposed to be 148 foot-pounds and 180 degree turn. So it didn't seem like it was that tight when I took it off. All right, before I throw the wheel on, I did this on the other side. And you can see actually I already have the other side already done. I didn't change that axle, but I had popped off that wheel and broke loose the axle nut because I was planning on doing that. But before I put the wheel back on, before I decided to do that, I went and looked at it really close, and I spun the axle. That axle looks perfect. And then I remembered that axle had already been replaced by Volkswagen a couple years ago, actually a lot of years ago, but the boots look in beautiful conditions. There's no reason to do it. That's the torque, and then you're supposed to go 180 from there. I can tell you right now, it's not gonna go 180. That's about as much as I get. And actually, that's how much it had when I took it off. I think it had less than that torque on there when I took it off. So I'm not really overly concerned with, yeah, I'm not overly concerned with that. That's good. We'll grab a paint marker, we'll mark it up, and we'll watch it. All right, what color paint marker do we want? Do we want red, blue? It looks like it had white in there before. What color would contrast well? Let's go with dark blue. I used blue on the Porsche and I like it. So let's use blue again. I probably used way too much paint there. All right, so there's our paint mark. I know it doesn't look straight, but there it is. There's our paint mark. We'll watch that and make sure that that bolt doesn't move. So all we have left now is just to put the wheel back on and torque it. That's it, we're done. One CV axle, passenger side, the longer one. The only thing left to do is a test drive. You guys don't want to see that because it's pretty boring. It's a Passat, a completely stock Volkswagen Passat. It's not the Porsche. No exhaust, no tune, no drama, but it rides smooth. It has ice cold AC. So I'm gonna go take it for a test drive and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Don't know what it's gonna be, but you'll see it here.